Hello everyone and welcome back to Rydebrook TV, and today I want to introduce you to my car, my Mini Cooper 5-door hatch. I think this is one of the best hatchbacks currently on sale today, and in this video I'm going to explain to you just why I love it so much. Now, before I get into the meat of this video and start showing you all the reasons why this is an absolutely fantastic everyday family hatchback, let's take a look at some of the visual changes that have happened, because you see this one here is a 21 model year and it's had its second facelift. First of all, we have this new front grille. Now, depending on the spec that you choose, you can end up with it being all black and honeycomb and aggressive with extra vents and cooling for things like the John Cooper Works and Cooper S. But if you go for something like the exclusive like we have here, or the Cooper Classic, it comes in a colour-coded section through the middle, which really ties that whole front end in. And then staying with the front end, we also lose the fog lights, and in their place we just have these air dams, which feed cold air over the front of the wheels, cooling the brakes and also maintaining a lower drag coefficient, which, as we all know, helps increase fuel efficiency. And the final piece of the puzzle are these new LED headlights, which are now all blacked out inside instead of chrome. I think that alone really goes a long way to modernising the front end of the Mini Cooper. For the side profile, well, nothing here has really changed dramatically. We lose the chrome side marker, and in its place we have this black trim with a clear indicator. We also get a range of new colours for 2021, including this rooftop grey metallic, and a choice of new alloy wheel designs. Now, this particular one comes fitted with the standard Union Jack 18-inch wheels because, well, as I've said, it's the exclusive. And to me, those wheels set this car off absolutely wonderfully. We also get these little trim bits where it says like Mini Yours here, and on the centre caps with the little shield in the middle of them. And again, it's little details like that that really elevate the Mini to a new level. But it's the rear of the car that we see the biggest visual change. We still have those iconic Union Jack style LED taillights. You also get this new design rear bumper, which is a godsend in my opinion when you compare it to the previous generation. Not that there was anything drastically wrong with the previous generation Mini, but if you chose anything other than the sports trim, the back bumper just felt a little under-designed. Whereas in this one, you can see some time and energy has been spent in making it feel and look a little bit more premium. We now have this colour-coded section in the middle, which ties in with the rest of the car on that front bumper with that colour-coded strip in the front. And we've got these angles and nice vents and spats which give it a real sporty look, and they really elevate it to be more of a premium finish. Now, that's enough about the visual changes on the new Mini Cooper. Let's take a look at some of the practicality elements. This car has got what is a relatively large boot for such a compact hatchback. It remains unchanged from last generation with 278 litres. My particular car comes fitted with the Comfort Pack, which also comes with this handy underfloor storage, which allows me to put my larger, bulkier items underneath, and then shut it again, and leaves plenty of space for 2 camera bags, my jackets, and a large shopping bag. The rear seats are in a 60-40 split fashion, which allows you to drop one half and still maintain the use of at least one of the rear seats. And with both of them down, you end up with 941 litres of space. Now, whilst on the subject of space, you might be surprised by just how much there is in the back of this car. You see, it's only Mini by name. Open the rear door and you're greeted with a wide enough opening to be able to get your ISOFIX base in there, and a rather large, bulky child seat without banging it against any of the door frames. And I'm telling you that from experience. There's also enough room in the back there to be able to fit 2 adults shoulder to shoulder for a reasonable journey. Then up front, we have this wide opening front door, which gives you your first insight into that welcoming, kind of high-tech new interior. Now, I say technologically advanced interior because there's been a number of tech changes on the inside of the car as well. First of all, we have this now wonderful, large infotainment screen. The screen itself is much brighter, much clearer than the last generation. We've got these nice new tiles that you can swipe through to access the various menus, and then you just tap it to jump in. It's really, really nice and intuitive. We've still got the original click wheel down the bottom here, which again, whilst driving, if you're familiar with it, it's like, well, second nature. You know exactly which buttons are where and how to go about using it, which is nice and safe when keeping your eyes on the road, but still needing to jump through various satellite navigation instructions or you know, access your music and streaming services on there. It's a brilliant setup. Then we've also got this new TFT driver's display, which we first saw on the Mini Electric and then made its way into the Mini Cooper GP, and now it's trickled down to the rest of the lineup. It's a really nice, colourful, bright display, and it gives you all the information that you expect to need in front of you as a driver. It also changes depending on the driver's mode you've got, because in the new Mini, you've also got selectable driver's modes. Now if I drop it down into green mode, the display changes ever so slightly, and instead of my range and, you know, all the trip computer and stuff displaying at the bottom, I now have this funky little green bar that tells me just how many more miles I've added by driving sensibly to my range. If I flick it up to mid mode, well, as I said before, you get access to your miles per gallon, your trip computer, the date, the engine temperatures, all that usual information you might find on there, and your throttle response, well, sharpens up ever so slightly, but I wouldn't exactly call it a sporty drive. That is where sport mode comes in. Flick the switch again up to sport mode, your throttle does become slightly sharper. The gearbox, if you've opted for the automatic like I have here, it will hold those gears ever so slightly longer to allow you to extract every last inch of power out of that 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. And also your steering does become slightly tauter. The whole experience makes it feel a little bit more, well, as people say, like a go-kart. Other visual changes in here include this new steering wheel, which to me is a nice lift. We've got new buttons in this smooth gloss black plastic instead of those little round spotty things that were on the previous generation. We've also got less buttons and switches. We still have all of the nice toggle switches and stuff up here and down at the bottom there, which we've come to know and love Minis for. But instead of all these cluttered buttons we had before in the infotainment system, we've now got this nice smooth gloss black plastic with all the buttons set behind it. It's a really nice update. Finally, the light around the middle here as well has been updated. We've now got this cool kind of striped design to it, instead of it just being a solid beam like it was in the last generation. Overall, the interior still feels the same, but different in the same note. Now before we go on to the driving section of this video, let's just take a quick look at my 5 favourite things that are on this new 2021 Mini Cooper. Number 1, all the cool little design elements from the Union Jack stickers here and the ones on the headrests and in the seats and just all the little touches around it that really make it stand out as a Mini. Number 2, the changeable ambient lighting all around here on the dash and here in the doors. At the flick of a switch, you can select the colour that suits your mood. And if you press and hold it down, if you can't choose an individual colour, well, it'll cycle through all of them and you'll have yourself your own interior disco. Number 3, this digital dashboard. It adds an extra element of quality and premium finish to what is already a very high quality interior. Number 4, its TARDIS-like space qualities. From the outside, it might still look quite small, but when you get inside, there's a lot more room than you'd anticipate. And number 5 is the price. This particular example, with the automatic gearbox and the optional paintwork, both Comfort Pack and Nav Pack optioned, would set you back just north of £27,500. Now when you consider what you're getting with the fit, the finish, the quality, the overall look, the premium build of a Mini, it's really hard to justify choosing one of the competition because, well, it's just representing fantastic value for money. So what's it like to drive? Well, in a nutshell, absolutely fantastic. Mini don't have a cult following of enthusiastic fans, have a reputation for building fun go-kart-like cars for the road because they build boring bland cars. Everything they build is just brilliantly good fun and engaging and exciting. Even this particular one, this is the perfect balance in my opinion of performance and economy. It's the 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbo engine. It produces 134 brake horsepower and it's plenty quick enough to, well, be an everyday daily driver. It's fast enough to have fun, but economical enough to live with every single day. I've covered 414 miles in this car since I've had it, and I've managed to keep an MPG of 40.8 miles per gallon, which I think is very impressive for town driving and having a bit of a blast out in the countryside every now and again. I really enjoy this car for what it is. If you wanted something with a little bit more power, you can opt for the Cooper S in the 5-door hatch, which uses a 2-litre turbocharged engine and produces 178 brake horsepower. And it's a bit more of a different driving experience, but as I've already said, my personal preference would be the 1.5 3-cylinder because, well, it's the perfect balance. Now you can option your 5-door Cooper with either a manual or an automatic gearbox. On this occasion, I've got the auto. My last one was a manual. And I've done that because I wanted to find out just how they perform differently and how the cars feel with each gearbox. And I've got to say, there are two very distinct personalities to the car. If you have a manual, the car feels, well, a bit more along that go-kart ethos that people give the Mini Cooper for its driving dynamics. The manual gearbox encourages you to drive a little bit more spiritedly. It's very, very precise. It's really quite a snickety, accurate, fun gearbox. It's the sort of thing that you enjoy rowing through the gears when you're driving. Whereas the automatic offers you a much more sedate driving experience. It's better for being stuck in traffic and town driving, or being on an A road like this and being stuck behind traffic. It's a much more lazy experience. But that's not to say you can't have fun with the autos, because if you drop the car into sport mode, you can then flick the gearbox across into manual, and you can still enjoy a bit of that go-kart style chassis that the Minis are renowned for having. And then when you're done having fun, you can flick it all back into mid mode and have the best of both worlds, that kind of accurate chassis and more comfortable, compliant suspension. On the topic of suspension, the Mini is neither too firm nor too soft. There is a little bit of body roll in the corners, but nothing that isn't too manageable, and the suspension is perfectly compliant, especially considering this car's got the 18-inch alloy wheels on it. I don't feel like I've been crashing over stuff and my back's about to break. It's a really nice, balanced driving experience. The steering is also nice and precise. It's easy to pinpoint on the road, and the visibility out the windows is absolutely superb. The glassware in this car is absolutely massive. You can see every single corner of the car, which makes it perfect for town driving as well. It's the sort of car that you would feel confident negotiating city roads and back streets in. Let me just leave you with this thought. The Mini Cooper is not a car that you buy with your head. It's a car you buy with your heart. It's full of quirky styling and design features that will have your friends asking questions, and it'll make you grin just looking at it. It's the sort of car that, even if you're not a driving enthusiast, you'll get behind the wheel of and just smile at its quirkiness. It has its competition beaten hands down in every element. It is high quality premium materials absolutely everywhere you look. The technology is very difficult to beat. The price point is extremely competitive. And the way that it makes you feel when you get behind the wheel and drive it, well, even though this isn't a performance car, I still have a barrel of laughs driving it. If you're in the market for a sensible family 5-door hatchback that does everything and you enjoy owning and driving, then you need to do more than consider the Mini Cooper. You need to be booking yourself a test drive. And on that note, if you want to reach out to one of our team, please do so using the links in the description below. And don't hesitate to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us again for more videos in the future.